You send the final report at 11:45 p.m. on a Tuesday. It is flawless. You have corrected the financial projections, streamlined the operational logic, and even fixed a formatting error that had been plaguing the team for 3 quarters. You hit send. You close your laptop. You wait for the accolades. But the next morning, the email chain moves on. A thank you arrives, buried in a reply all from a manager who didn't actually read the attachment. 2 weeks later, in the strategy meeting, a colleague suggests an idea that sounds suspiciously like paragraph 4 of your report. They get the nod. They get the assignment. You get the silence. This is the friction of the ghost employee. It is the belief that competence is its own marketing department. It is the assumption that if you build the house perfectly, people will naturally walk through the door. But in a complex organization, clear work does not automatically equal clear visibility. You are providing the infrastructure, the plumbing and the wiring that keeps the lights on. But because your work is seamless, it is also invisible. You have become essential, yet you remain unknown. We see this dynamic in domestic life constantly. The laundry that cleans itself, the refrigerator that magically refills. When a system works perfectly, the architect behind it disappears. The problem is that in your career, disappearing is dangerous. When you are invisible, you are not considered for the high-stakes negotiations. You are not the name that comes up when a new division is formed. You are simply the person who keeps the current machine running. The friction here isn't a lack of skill, it's a lack of signal. You are broadcasting on a frequency that only you can hear. And when promotion cycles arrive, or when layoffs loom, the decision makers aren't looking at the plumbing. They are looking for the architects who can point to the building and say, I designed that. If you cannot point to your work and narrate its value, you are leaving your career trajectory to chance. You are hoping someone notices the clean floor, rather than telling them how you engineered the vacuum. We need to re-engineer this. We need to shift from doing the work to managing the perception of the work. I know the phrase perception management can feel cold, perhaps even manipulative. It sounds like spin, but let's strip away the corporate gloss. Perception management is simply user experience design for your professional identity. It is ensuring that the user, your boss, your peers, the board, interacts with your value in a way that is intuitive and undeniable. The governing principle here is the credibility loop. Most of us operate on a linear path. Input, work, leads to output, results. The credibility loop adds a third dimension, broadcast. It is not enough to solve the problem, you must narrate the solution. The loop works like this. You identify a friction point, you solve it, and then, crucially, you educate the room on how it was solved. You transform the labor into a lesson. This isn't bragging. Bragging is about the person. The credibility loop is about the process. By teaching others how you navigated the terrain, you stop being a laborer and start being a guide. You become the map. Before we walk through exactly how to build this loop, I want to invite you to join our collective. If you are tired of being the silent architect, if you are ready to stop hoping for recognition and start designing it, subscribe to Pathfinder. We are building a network of women who are mapping the hidden mechanics of leadership. Join us, and let's stop guessing. Let's look at a real-world example. I worked with a director of operations named Elena. Elena was the ultimate fixer. When a shipment was delayed in customs, Elena made the calls. When the inventory software crashed during Black Friday, Elena manually reconciled the database. She was the safety net for the entire division. But when the VP role opened up, Elena wasn't even interviewed. The feedback? Elena is great at execution, but we need a strategic thinker. It was a gut punch. Elena was the most strategic person in the room, She was the only one who understood how the systems connected, but she had never narrated that connection. She fixed the problems in the dark. In the board meetings, she remained silent, letting the results speak for themselves. But results don't speak, they just sit there. Her silence allowed others to view her work as administrative maintenance rather than architectural brilliance. She had secured the foundation, but she hadn't turned on the lights. Here is the protocol to break the silence. We begin with an internal audit of your brand assets. I want you to look at your last 3 major contributions. Did you just send the email, or did you frame the narrative? Step 1. The why wrapper. From now on, you never send a raw deliverable. Every report, every fix gets wrapped in context. You don't just say, here are the Q3 numbers. You write, here are the Q3 numbers. Note the variance in column D. This reflects the efficiency gain from the new vendor protocol we implemented last month. This shift alone saved us 12% in overhead. See the difference? The first is data. The second is strategy. You are explicitly connecting your action to the company's bottom line. You are forcing the reader to see the why behind the what. If-then protocol. If you are in a meeting and a problem arises that you have already solved or researched, do not just give the answer. Say, I encountered this friction point last month. Here's the diagnostic I ran, and here is the structural fix we applied. We should scale that logic here. You are not just raising your hand, you are citing your own case law. Now that we have established the need to broadcast, we must decide what to broadcast. This brings us to the second major friction point, the generalist trap. This is where you are known as reliable. You are the person who can jump into HR issues, help with the budget, draft the newsletter, and organize the holiday party. You are helpful, you are liked, and you are professionally diffuse. Being a jack of all trades is a survival mechanism in early careers. It proves you can hustle. But as you ascend, it becomes a liability. Senior leadership looks for specialists, not generalists. They need someone who owns a specific territory. If your internal brand is, I can help with anything, people will bring you their junk. They will bring you the low-leverage tasks they don't want to do. You become the organization's drawer of spare cables, useful, tangled, and rarely thought of until something breaks. The architectural fix for the generalist trap is the signature topic. You must plant a flag in one specific patch of soil. You need to identify a subject matter that is both high value to the company and underserved by your peers. This is your internal vertical. Think of this as your professional SEO. When someone in your company types a query into their mental search bar, what keyword leads to you? Is it crisis management? Is it supply chain resilience? Is it remote culture? You cannot own everything. You must choose one thing to own completely. This doesn't mean you stop doing other work. It means you curate your visibility around this single pillar. You become the node for that specific information stream. Consider Sarah, a mid-level manager in a healthcare firm. Sarah was drowning in odds and ends. She was the go-to for fixing spreadsheets, setting up Zoom calls, and editing slide decks. She was exhausted. We looked at her terrain. She realized that while everyone was obsessed with big data, nobody in her unit actually understood how to keep the data clean. It was a mess of duplicate files and security risks. Sarah decided her signature topic would be data hygiene. She didn't ask for permission. She just started owning the language. In meetings, she stopped volunteering to take notes and started asking questions about data integrity. How are we securing the patient ID strings in this transfer? She would ask. She sent a weekly 3-minute read on data security trends to her team. Within 6 months, she wasn't helpful Sarah anymore. She was the data governance lead. When corporate needed a representative for a massive new cybersecurity initiative, they didn't look for a generalist. They looked for the person who had been speaking the language of data hygiene for half a year. They looked for Sarah. How do you find your signature topic? We use the intersection audit. Draw 3 circles. Circle 1. What is currently breaking in your company? Where is the pain? Maybe it's communication between sales and engineering. Maybe it's inefficiency in onboarding. Circle 2. What do you naturally obsess over? What articles do you read on the weekend? What problems do you enjoy dissecting? Circle 3. What is strategic? What topics are the C-suite currently worried about? The intersection of these 3 is your signature topic. It must be painful for them, natural for you, and valuable to the future. Once you have it, use the drip feed method. You don't need to hold a press conference. You just start dripping the content. Share an article on the topic in the team chat with a 2-sentence analysis. Ask a question related to it in the all-hands meeting. Change your email signature or your Slack status to reflect this focus. You are training the algorithm of your company's collective mind to associate your face with that topic. We have the compass, perception management, and the territory, your signature topic. Now we need the vehicle. This brings us to the most underutilized asset in the corporate world, the lunch and learn. The terrain here is fear. It is the cringe factor. We worry that if we volunteer to teach our peers, we will look like tryhards. We worry about standing at the front of the room, or the Zoom grid, and being judged. So we avoid the spotlight. We sit in the audience of other people's presentations, critiquing their slides while our own ideas gather dust. We treat the company-wide presentation as a chore to be avoided, rather than a platform to be seized. But here is the reality. The person at the front of the room holds the authority. When you teach, you are implicitly stating that you have mastered the material. You are moving from peer to expert for those 30 minutes. It is the fastest way to cement your signature topic in the minds of 50 people at once. It creates a credibility anchor that lasts for months. The logic here is simple. Teaching is the highest form of demonstrated competence. You cannot teach what you do not understand. By structuring a session, whether it's a lunch and learn, a workshop, or a 15-minute slot in the weekly all-hands, you are demonstrating synthesis. You are showing that you can take complex information, organize it, and transfer it to others. This is a leadership trait. Do not view this as public speaking. View it as systems distribution. You are distributing your mental model to the team. This creates leverage. If you teach the team how to fish, you stop having to fish for them. But more importantly, you are auditioning for the next level. Leaders are teachers. If you want to run the department, show them you can educate the department. Let's go back to Elena, the operations director who was passed over. We recalibrated. She identified her signature topic, asynchronous workflow. She realized the company was drowning in useless meetings. She proposed a 20-minute lunch and learn titled, How to Cut Your Meeting Time by 40%. Notice the title. She didn't call it Elena's Thoughts on Ops. She framed it as a solution to their pain. The room was packed. She didn't just talk, she gave them templates. She showed them how to use project management tools to replace status updates. She gave them a script to decline meetings politely. The effect was immediate. People started using Elena's templates. Her name became synonymous with efficiency. 2 months later, the CFO, who had attended the talk, asked her to lead a task force on operational efficiency for the finance department. The Lunch and Learn wasn't just a presentation, it was a campaign launch. It moved her from the back office to the front stage. Here is your protocol to secure the stage. Do not wait to be asked. You must propose the session. The script. Email your manager or the coordinator of the team meetings. Subject: Q3 Knowledge Share Idea. Body: I've noticed a recurring friction point around insert problem. I've been developing a framework/workflow that has solved this for my unit, saving us about X hours a week. I'd love to host a 20-minute tactical session to share these tools with the wider team so they can get that time back. Does next Thursday work? Why this works. You are offering value, not asking for a favor. You are quantifying the benefit, saving hours. You are framing it as a tactical session, which sounds useful, rather than a presentation, which sounds boring. Once you get the yes, structure your talk with the 4-part block we use here: terrain, the pain; compass, the insight; landmark, the example; path, the tool. Give them something they can use immediately: a checklist, a template, a script. When they use your tool, they are reinforcing your authority every single day. The map is now in your hands. We have moved from the invisible labor of the ghost employee to the curated visibility of the internal influencer. We have identified the credibility loop, planted the flag of your signature topic, and built the platform of the teachback. Now I need you to navigate. Which coordinate resonated today? Are you stuck in the generalist trap, exhausted by being helpful? Or are you the silent fixer, waiting for credit that never comes? Send me a signal, reply to the newsletter, or find me on LinkedIn. Tell me your signature topic. Tell me what flag you are going to plant. I want to see your maps. This is Chris. You are the architect. Now go turn on the lights.